Okay, how's it going, guys? And thanks for joining me again for another little bit of Trans-Euro Trail adventure following the Great Western Trail through Cornwall. Today, what I did is this section here. I ran up the coast along the northerly route from Praze-An-Beeble to Perranporth, and then I cut across Cornwall and then went from Chura down to Porthtowan. So basically, I've now done everything from there down, and it's all kind of covered on my YouTube on various episodes. But what I thought I'd do is I'll split today's run into two halves. So this is chapter 3, this is the northerly section, and then I'll put the next episode as the chapter 4 running along the southerly section, just to keep the episodes down, not too long, and also hopefully make it nice and orderly. So this section here for chapter 3, running from Praze-An-Beeble up to Perranporth, is good fun. It stops at a couple of nice spots for views and good places for getting lunch and things like that. So there's a couple of nice locations that it stops at, and so this, in the thicker red bits here, this is the actual off-road section. The rest of it is road. These are the only real kind of hazards I found, and I have to say nothing is that tricky. One sort of very narrow thorny bit, and a couple of sort of steep and loose bits. But again, I'm riding in good conditions in dry weather, so maybe there would be more hazards or more things to contend with if it's wet weather. But anyway, let's hop into the footage, and then we can sort of talk you through the sections as we go and talk you through these sort of 3 semi-tricky off-road hazards. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so yes, kicking off at Praze-An-Beeble. A few nice little off-road sections, but nothing at all difficult along here. Pretty easy stuff. Then a little bit further north, you come to a section near St Day that has a maze of trails and hills and descents, and all branching off all over next to the TET. So you could quite easily find yourself going down the wrong trail. So watch out for that. But also, if you're a bit more of a competent off-roader, there's a lot of sort of little kickers and jumps and some little trails that are a bit more challenging around here, just to the left and to the right of the TET. So you may want to explore and sort of check it out a little bit, because it's quite sort of rough, interesting, rugged land around here. But be careful though, because if you do stray too far, you will start to see no motorbike signs and areas where you really are not meant to be, so you could get reported and get in trouble. So watch out for that. But yeah, it's worth having a little look around while you're here. Then further north, you're going to find some sections that are very narrow and in the summer very overgrown, to the point where just walking down there would be quite difficult. So yeah, you definitely want your arms covered and gloves, and ideally some hand guards on your bars, because yeah, really thorny and very overgrown. Definitely want gloves down here, guys, and arms. Preferably hand guards. Can't stand up, so get my head knocked up. Then we come into Porthtowan, where there is one section that is quite loose and pretty steep, coming down a hill and around the corner, and you're up on the cliffs, so it's worth going up there and checking it out, because you get good views up and down the coast, and you're really quite high up as well, so it's generally quite a nice little spot to be. but just beware, it is steeper than it appears here in the footage. and it is quite loose as well. So just be wary of that. You know, I didn't find it a problem, but yeah, just be aware.
Very loose. Yeah, pretty loose.
And then, so in Porthtowan, I think it's worth stopping in Porthtowan for, you know, a beer or a snack. It is a nice little spot, and it generally isn't too busy. The bar on the beach can get a little bit hectic, but it generally isn't too much of a busy spot even in the summer. So it's not a bad spot to, you know, spend a couple of hours. Then coming out the other side of Porthtowan, there is a fairly narrow, steepish section coming up the cliffs on the other side as well. Again, nothing too sort of concerning, but you know, be aware it does get quite narrow, and if you got it wrong, you know, you're up on the side of the cliff. So you know. Then we press on to St Agnes, and again, this is one of those spots that the TET kind of goes right through. But what I would do is, if you want to spend any time here, go down this road here, and then go and check out the Driftwood pub. And yeah, just generally around St Agnes, there's lots of good places to get food, and it's quite a nice, chilled little spot. So yeah, feel free to explore, because it is quite a nice area. And then after St Agnes, there's a few little trails as you approach Perranporth. This is where I met this squirrel who was just running along in front of me, which did crack me up, I have to say.
Run, squirrel! Run! You are a stupid squirrel.
Then a little bit later, just before Perranporth, there is a couple of slightly steeper trails that I would imagine is quite sort of wet and marshy around here. So if it had been raining, it probably does get really slippy and really quite boggy.
What?
You know, it's been really dry weather for me, so the conditions are absolutely fine. But it is quite steep and rocky, and like I said, there's a potential for some very muddy, slippy sections along here.
Whoa.
And even a couple of very, very easy water crossings that I came across as well around this area. then you get into Perranporth itself, which, I mean, some people love Perranporth, but it can get like crazy busy, so it just depends on when you're coming. But there is a lot going on here. Like, I mean, just last night I went to see the Tunes in the Dunes festival that they have, yearly. That's pretty cool, and like the Watering Hole pub gets good live music sometimes. So again, it's one of those places it's worth checking out, but it's not to everyone's taste, because it can get a little bit too busy. So that concludes the northerly run. Probably about 3-4 hours, depending on whether you're sort of stopping much or what have you. But yeah, I would allow for about 3 or 4 hours for this section here. Like I said, there's 3 sort of possible mini off-road hazards, but nothing I found scary or intimidating. So I think it would be okay as long as your bike isn't like too heavy. Okay, that's it for the northerly run, chapter 3. Next chapter is going to be the southerly run, coming back along the same section of Cornwall, starting at Truro and going into Porthtowan. So anyway, I'll leave that there, guys. I hope that was useful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.